Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to the DIBS panel of Temple Student Orgs. We are happy you are here and we are excited to showcase three amazing student organizations today. First, we want to say thank you to the College of Public Health Dean's Office for hosting us today and helping showcase these organizations. They're doing a bunch of events this week for National Public Health Week. So I will drop the link in the chat where you can check out all of the other events they're hosting this week in case you missed the emails or in case you forgot it was the first week of April like I did. So we are the DIBS committee. We stand for Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging in Social and Behavioral Sciences. So we are faculty, staff, and students in the Department of Social and Behavioral Sciences. And we promote the public health stance across various issues, centering around health equity, social justice, and the human right to health and quality of life. So today we are highlighting three organizations on campus, and I will pass it off to our two students, Mackenzie and Rosalind.
Hi, my name is Rosalind Robinson, and I am a senior here at Temple University, and I'm also a public health major. I am the intern for the DIBS committee this year, and today with Mackenzie, we are going to be moderating our discussion.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mackenzie Morrissey. I'm the undergraduate representative for DIBS, and I'm also a public health student here at Temple University. So we're just excited to highlight these student organizations that have been actively working either in social justice and equity, and we're excited to have you guys here today. Now we're going to introduce the organizations that we have here today. First, I'm going to start off with Alexis from the Black Student Union. So feel free to unmute yourself and tell us about your role, and then we'll follow along with our other panelists.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Alexis, and I am the co-vice president for Temple University's Black Student Union.
Thank you. Now, Cassie, do you mind introducing yourself and telling us your role?
Sure. My name is Cassie. I am a senior public health major here at Temple University. I am currently interning with the Nationality Service Center, which is Philadelphia's leading immigrant and refugee service organization.
Okay, great. Mariama, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, and thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Mariama Dufekone. I'm a student here at Temple, a senior student, public health major, and I'm also the executive director of Girls Health International, which focuses on health promotion and disease awareness. We're based in Liberia, but it's a legal funded organization here in the US. And thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're going to get into some questions. So the first question, can you guys tell us how you first got involved with your organization? And just like, what did you learn about it? You guys are welcome to unmute yourselves. Alexis, if you want to start again.
No problem. So I joined the Black Student Union as soon as I came to Temple. I felt that it was very important for me to find a space here on campus where I felt comfortable. And the Black Student Union is where I found that community for myself. So I joined just as a member. As a freshman, I would attend meetings and stuff. And then the following year, my sophomore year, I was thinking about holding a position on the board, and a lot of people on the board remember me from those meetings. So they encouraged me to apply, and I started out as a marketing and promotions chair. And then the following year, I became co-vice president.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mariama, would you like to go next?
So I got involved because I changed my major from social work to public health. And going back to my country, where I came from, Liberia is one of the poorest countries in the world. Our healthcare is very bad over there due to poor economic status. So being a public health student and looking at my country health status, I decided during the heat of the pandemic, that's when I actually started this organization last year in May, where people had gone through a lot during the lockdown and they didn't have the education and awareness as to how the pandemic was and how the coronavirus was. So I decided, hey, I'm in the public health field, and this is a great way and opportunity for me to showcase my education and help my people back home. So I decided, okay, I would get this NGO started and get it registered. And thank God I have volunteers over there who's been helping me, and we are low funded. So my team and I been working to personally fund this organization. So we are looking for more sponsors and partnerships. So yeah, thanks.
Great, thank you. Cassie?
Sure. As a public health major, I really wanted an internship that I felt I could get the most diverse experience from. And NSC really provides that. At NSC, there's legal protection services, community integration, access to health and wellness, ESL classes, and even employment advances for immigrants and refugees. A lot of people don't know, but 10% of Philadelphia's population is immigrants and refugees. And because of the language barriers and because of healthcare costs, there's a significant amount of health disparities within this vulnerable community. And I really enjoy working with clients. I love it. It's so rewarding to see a vulnerable community that's often really overlooked receive healthcare and wellness, and they have even yoga classes there. So I thought it was a great opportunity to learn more about public health and how to help people that, you know, are overlooked a lot of the time.
Okay, perfect. The second question, how might students get involved with your organization, or how could they help support what you're doing?
So for the Black Student Union, you can go online through Temple Owl Connect to look for us, and you will see like a little link that would let you get emails and things from us, but it wouldn't necessarily make you an official member. We do have a yearly dues for our members. It'll be about $15 to $20, but this year, due to the pandemic, since we were all virtual, we didn't have a membership fee. So literally everyone is a member if you're interested to join, which I highly recommend. And when we come on campus, I would just say attend the meetings, get to know the people that are on the board, and get your voice heard.
So with GHI, you can find us on Facebook, GHI, and we also have our website, GHI, girlshealthinternational.org, I'm sorry. Well, on Instagram as well. So how can you get involved? You can always send us email, and we are open to partnership and networking with other students' organization as well.
For NSC, you could apply to either intern or volunteer right on the website. It's nscphila.org. And also through Handshake, I believe all Temple students have a Handshake account, and they're always posting volunteer opportunities and internships on there. No matter what your major is, there's a role available for you. I think that's the best part about NSC, whether it's legal, communications, physical activities, art, teaching, there's always opportunities for students to get involved.
Thank you guys, that was very insightful. I know Cassie, you had mentioned working at an NSC that you guys have resources for the refugees and things like that. So what are some other opportunities that you guys have had in these organizations as a result of your participation, whether it been working with the community in Philadelphia, outside of Philadelphia? Mariama, I know you spoke about working in Liberia. So if you guys can touch on some of the opportunities you had or some of your favorite parts of being a part of these organizations.
I can go first. So because of the pandemic, a lot of things about my internship have been modified, but I think one great thing about it is that NSC was able to start a vaccine clinic for immigrants and refugees with interpreters on site. So that's something that I've been able to volunteer at, help schedule for, help clients escort them to and from the appointment. So I think that is a really great opportunity that I've personally had because of the pandemic. So I'm grateful for that. I'm thinking about what else. Also, even just seeing clients face-to-face on Zoom, I've been able to perform some orientations for health education, which I thought was great. And it's nice to see clients' faces, even though I'm not in the office. So I think that was a great opportunity as well for me.
So for me, what I've learned about this and what really encouraged me the most is, being over here overseas and schooling and then having to interact with people back home who have just less knowledge about health education, and my team going out there to connect me with them. That alone is just encouraging because they find sort of hope, on how to get their health needs taken care of. Because of low income status, they're not having money to go to hospital, but getting the education that they need, they don't have to pay for it because we're just rendering services to them with the intent of getting help from donors. So communicating with them really encourages us to do more, and we giving them the knowledge that we have over here is just more encouraging, I can say. At least they have hope, and I'm happy that I'm helping my people in some way or the other.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Mariama. I feel like through the pandemic, Mackenzie could speak on this as well, but we have learned, like, as an organization, how to move ourselves to like a virtual platform and how to still be able to help the community. Like, we've been able to raise money to donate to bail funds, still be able to do neighborhood cleanups around campus, and upcoming clothing drives as well. So I think like moving to that virtual platform was kind of difficult, but when you have a team that is like good with building and being able to connect with others, it really does help.
That's great. The next question we were wondering is how you guys were able to like navigate your organizations with this pandemic. Like, I know Alexis, you touched on it, but Cassie and Mariama, if you guys can talk about how it was transitioning from in-person to everything being virtual.
Yeah, I think it's a little harder to create connections over the internet. I found that I wasn't really connecting with the other interns or my other coworkers at first. It really takes a little bit more of an effort to reach out to other people in order to get that deeper connection, because you just don't want to be working by yourself all the time. You want to be like, hey, like, how are you doing? So we created some kind of, check-in meetings just to talk about life and whatnot throughout the week, so that we can create some kind of atmosphere where we just don't feel like we're alone in our room on Zoom all the time just doing work. So I think that was one of the hurdles that we had to jump through being on Zoom. Another thing is client communication. It's harder when you're not in person. Over the phone, you can't really see if clients are properly understanding what you're trying to tell them, through facial expressions and body language. You don't really have that client face-to-face interaction. So I think that's another hurdle that you just have to get through and adapt over the internet.
So for me, it has been really difficult. Transitional process was hard. I started everything over here by myself, like I said, last year during the heat of the pandemic. And dealing with those people over there, my volunteer staff and other volunteers, technology-wise, it has been difficult, connecting to Zoom. We had to do WhatsApp videos and all that. Network is bad over there. It's not the same as over here, and I'm the only person here, so it has been challenging. Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing that. I know as students, Alexis can speak on this too, navigating a student org in a pandemic has been difficult because you want to connect with your peers and give everyone a resource, is because student organizations really are a brave space for students here at Temple, especially ones that are focused on diversity, equity, and accessibility, especially when it comes to health. So Alexa, I know you were about to unmute. Was there something else you wanted to add about some things navigating an organization in a pandemic?
Yeah, I would just say, I feel like for the Black Student Union, we learned how to balance what we want to talk about. As an organization, we always kind of keep a balance of what we have as being educational, informative, and being fun. But with going virtual, we have students and members that are online doing classes all day and might not necessarily want to come on Zoom for another hour to be taught a lesson. So we try to balance things out and not only hold Zooms, but also have other virtual events as well, like using our Instagram Live as well. and maybe sometimes having like a DJ come through, or having different conversations on the IG Live. So I feel like having that balance to keep people feeling, you know, comfortable and not feeling like they're obligated to learn something all the time is also a good tip as well.
Thank you, Alexis. So talking about events you guys have been doing and navigating, do any of your organizations or centers have any upcoming events coming up that we should all be on the lookout for, or anything you'd like your organization to do in the future coming up?
So for GHR, we've during the pandemic again, we had the chance to distribute rice and sanitary pads and non-food products to schools and orphanage homes back home again. That's where all our work have been done. We're still looking forward to working with people over here, different organizations. We're still growing, so everyone is welcome to join us, but we've been working mostly in Liberia. During the pandemic, we distributed food and non-clothing items to orphanages and hospitals and schools. And our upcoming event, we have 6 schools in mind that we want to reach out to. We've been to the radio station to announce this project in the last week. So this upcoming project will be next week, Tuesday and Thursdays. We have 6 schools in mind where we'll go and do health promotion and awareness, like workshops, where we also want to have sub-branches in those schools so they too can be able to spread the word and have more health education in schools, since we don't have in our country.
Okay, thanks for sharing, guys. How would you guys recommend that students find out about organizations like the ones you guys are a part of? Like, since everything is online, do you guys have any tips for students looking for organizations actively?
One event that Temple holds that I would definitely take advantage of is Temple Fest. It's usually held twice a year during like the whole school year. It's one per semester. And basically it's going to be either, we had it virtual for this past year, but it's usually in person, where you could go to all the student organizations that are on campus. They'll have a different table and they'll like tell you more information about the organization. So that would be one step. And then also, if you can't make those, utilize I'll Connect, because you can literally find every organization, probably anything that you want to do. There's probably an organization that already does it. So I would definitely check up with I'll Connect as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'll Connect, like Alexis. I think there's a lot of great resources right onto uPortal to connect with other organizations, other volunteer opportunities. Handshake is a great one. Even on LinkedIn and Indeed, there's always listings and postings about ways you can get involved in the community.
Okay, that's great. As full-time students with busy schedules, do you have any suggestions or recommendations for other students to like stay engaged or manage their time well, just to like take care of themselves?
One personal one, I don't think it's not like a tip that people don't know, but I really do enjoy having a whiteboard calendar and something that's either like monthly. Mine, it has like 4 months, but then I also have one that has like a weekly, that's just Monday through Friday. And that's just how I like to organize my day, because it can get hectic when you are like considered a student leader and also probably like orgs and things like that. But then also in terms of the self-care, taking the time when you need to take care of yourself. I would never want to see like a student push themselves too far, especially when they're a part of an organization like ours and they're part of an executive board and they feel like they have too much on their plate and they can't complete tasks. Like, talk to your friends, talk to the people that you're on the board with, and, you know, let them know like what you're going through and be able to take that break for yourself.
Yeah, I would definitely say that taking a break is very important for your mental and physical health. I feel like a lot of people like to overload themselves and like to keep themselves busy, but I would just say find some time to have fun. My internship is 3 days a week. I'm taking 3 classes and I work a part-time job. So I feel like I like being busy. I like being involved in the community. I like throwing myself into things that I'm really passionate about, but I would say like I find at least one day to just relax, like just breathe, go to the gym, do yoga, hang out with your friends. Like it's important to be involved, but it's also important to take time for yourself.
Just to add up to what Cassie said, I would say the same thing. Your mental health matters. I have 4 classes. I'm taking 4 classes and I have 4 girls. I have 4 daughters and I'm working. So I just blend all this together. The best way I can take a break is, planning myself, not just overloading myself with workload and school load. I know it's a lot to do. It's challenging, but I also try to make time for myself. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for sharing that. I think talking about self-care when talking about social justice and equity is very important because often it can be a lot of news, a lot to unpack, and taking care of your mental is very important throughout all of this, especially in such a tumultuous time. So now we're going to go into our Q&A section. But before we head into that, Cassie, Alexis, Mariama, is there any final thoughts that you would like to leave us with before we head on into the Q&A section?
I just want to say thank you guys so much for having me. I really enjoyed speaking on this panel. This was a great opportunity. This is my first time doing this. It was really fun. I hope everybody learned something about ways to get involved with the community, especially with underprivileged, under-resourced groups.
No, yeah, definitely. Just to follow up with Cassie, it's more than just us 3 organizations on Temple's campus as well that you could be a part of. So if you feel like you don't necessarily fit into one of these, definitely reach out to other people as well. And then if you want, just reach out to us and see what we're doing as well. I definitely want to hit up Mariama, because I heard you talking about needing clothes. We're doing a clothing drive. So I need your deets, girl.
And just to add up to that, we need more than clothes. So you're welcome to donate. So to the question, what was the question again?
Yes, we have a couple in the chat.
Okay.
We actually have one question that got lost in the Q&A. Someone said that many people believe that Temple University is very diverse when you first think about Temple. Do you believe Temple is, as a whole, is diverse, and do you believe that Temple CPH is really focused on diversity as well as inclusion for their students? And what could the college do better regarding diversity and inclusion?
I would say that Temple is pretty diverse for the most part, more than a lot of schools that my peers attend. It was funny because before I attended Temple, when I would tell people I was going, a lot of people thought it was a historically Black college. But we just have a high percentage of Black people that go here. And though we do have that, there are some minorities that, don't have as much representation at our school. And then on top of that, we do kind of, at the same time, separate ourselves into these different groups when a lot of times we can come together as well. So I would say, yeah, we definitely are diverse, but I think we're just going to need some help, especially after being at home for a whole year, trying to bring ourselves together again.
I can't speak for other colleges, but I feel like the College of Public Health does a really good job of having courses available that are focused on diversity and inclusion. There's so many different classes where I've learned about health disparities amongst different populations like Native Americans and African Americans and Asian Americans. And I feel like the College of Public Health really helped me understand the way the world works through race and ethnicity. And I'm thankful for that. As a campus as a whole, I think Temple is also very diverse. I've never felt out of place before, ever. You just have to find your people and you get there. And I think that Temple is really diverse and there's always room for improvement, but I think right now we're doing really well with that.
And I also think Temple is really diverse. Because ever since I started attending Temple, my daughter will be asking me, Mom, when you were in community college, you never did this. Why are you doing this now since you started going to Temple? So that really motivates me. And I think through their diverse and teaching and system, I've grown a lot. I've been able to navigate through things. I've seen things differently. I've learned a lot since I started with Temple. So I believe, yeah, they are diverse.
Thank you guys for touching that. And there is a question in the chat that I'm going to answer next that I think was very important. The question read, going off of the other question, diverse and inclusive are two different things. So do you feel that Temple is inclusive, or how can Temple be more inclusive? Also, as a student at the College of Public Health, I will say, I do think with inclusion that having spaces like this more often can do the College of Public Health and other colleges, because I know we're not all public health students, a lot of good. Having the conversations between different students, not those who are only involved in organizations, but also students who just go here at Temple, and having these very coy conversations are important. I think also seeing diversity in staff is important. So when we're talking about equity, we're talking about other factors and intersectionality of public health. It's important that we see that when we're in the classroom as well. So I think that is a very great question. And how do you guys feel like Temple is inclusive, although we're saying that we do feel like Temple is diverse?
I think it's another one of those things where like we're doing pretty well, but there's also room for improvement, like Cassie said. Like, for example, our African American Studies department, probably just one of the best I've seen in a multi-diverse college. But there is a petition right now where we are trying to get more African languages into like the language department. So those are like just some of the things that we could implement to improve, inclusivity within our school.
Thank you. I also think it's important that organizations like DIBS, the DIBS committee, is a great resource. I know we talked about it in our welcome, and we'll make sure to put more information towards the end. But DIBS focusing on diversity, inclusion, and social belonging, that is important to have in our departments, and it's great that we do have that. So using DIBS as a resource can be of great help as well. Rosalind, I know you said you were going to answer this question a little bit. Did you have anything you wanted to touch on?
Yes, I just wanted to add that, especially being a part of the Diversity, Inclusions, and Belongings Committee, I definitely get to see how the social behavior and sciences is really trying to be more inclusive, especially with including students of underrepresented populations, and just trying to make sure that their voices are always heard.
Thank you. And so another question we have in the chat is, throughout this pandemic, with a lot of controversial issues centered around race and equality, how have these issues impacted your understanding, whether in your work life or school, as you become public health professionals? So I guess this question would be pointed to Mariama, Cassie, and Rosalind, yourself or myself can answer this as well.
What's the question? Oh.
Yes, 1 second. So throughout this pandemic, with a lot of controversial issues centered around race and equality, how have these issues impacted your understanding in your work life or school life as you become a public health professional?
I can start. I think that racial unrest and injustice really takes a toll on mental health, especially within communities that are suffering from it. I know during the summer, my mental health was not good at all. And that has, in return, that has adverse effects on health outcomes, higher stress levels, the sicker you are. So I think that really speaks to health disparities among certain populations. Definitely, I've learned that social injustice goes hand in hand with health disparities most of the time.
And just to add up to that, social injustice and social injustice and your mental health not being stable it affects your mental health, you know, with everything that is going on with the pandemic and lockdown. People have already been affected psychologically, mentally, and physically with the social injustice and diversity going on. I believe it has a major stance on our mental health. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have another question in the chat. Although I realize that each of you cannot speak for all of the other diversity groups, however, among those here, do you collaborate with each other to focus on specific causes, events, etc., when there is an urgent or emerging need? Maybe Alexis, if you want to start off with this, because I know BSU, we've collabed with other organizations as well.
Yeah, so when we have like certain topics arise that like either ourselves or members may be interested in hearing, we definitely like to reach out to other organizations as well that focus on diversity too. A couple of weeks ago, we had a panel program where we were talking about disability in the community. And so we had a couple of speakers and a member who brought up the idea speak on our program because on the whole e-board, we didn't necessarily have anybody from that group that could represent us or represent or be in the conversation. So we invited a member to help us with the program and give us some resources on how to share those as well.
Okay, great. There's a question in the chat. We have one for Cassie, and it is, how has the pandemic exacerbated health disparities and other difficulties among the clients served by NSC?
Sure. So before the pandemic, clients are very used to coming into NSC, into the office, having on-site interpretation and being able to talk to their case managers face-to-face on a very regular basis. They're also used to being escorted to and from their appointments for those that don't know how to use public transportation yet. Unfortunately, that had to stop because of the pandemic. So I think a lot of clients had to really learn how to use transportation on their own. We did have Lyft services available and other rideshare services, but most of the time they had to figure out how to go to and from their appointments by themselves. We also weren't able to escort them for a little bit. We are starting back with escorts now, but I think that has created a sort of barrier in itself. Also, talking to clients on the phone isn't the same as explaining something in person. I've had difficulty just with clients not really understanding how to use Zoom that well during health orientations and not really knowing if they're really receiving what I'm saying and understanding it. If I was in person, then they'd be able to ask questions more freely and be able to type. So I think those are some of just the barriers that the pandemic has caused for healthcare within that community itself. I think NSC does a really good job of just adapting though. We still service so many clients. We still send out, I think it's 80 packages of food to 80 families. Also, I think we do a great job of utilizing online services. I use Language Line, which is for interpretation. So you call them and they can translate in any language you want for clients. So I think we were able to adapt really well to the pandemic. And I don't think that NSC clients have had a lot of negative effects because of it. But I do think that there are just some things that made it a little harder to, you know, converse and connect with clients.
Great, thank you. Our next question is for Mariama. What health and social supports are available here in the US that are not available in Liberia?
Okay, so in Liberia, the country is going under a serious health crisis. We've been under 14 years of civil war. The country is low, it suffers from low economic status. We don't have a lot when it comes to medical equipment and access to medical health care. So mostly healthcare is funded by NGOs and that's nonprofits and private sectors. Government is not doing much, so we are lacking a lot. This is where nonprofit like us come in to help. So it's far different from the US. We're very underprivileged. We are lacking so much. So the healthcare system is really bad.
Thank you, guys. We have another question. Let's see, it says, I am a student of public health and also run a nonprofit health organization here and back in Liberia, my country. Thanks for all of your works, and especially Mariama, who's working in Liberia like me. I would like to collaborate with y'all. We will make sure to give everyone's contact information either in a follow-up email or link it to the organization's here's socials. So we'll make sure to have that available for everyone who is here today. Another question in the chat is, are there opportunities for high school students? I lead a summer work readiness program for Philly teens every July and August, and would love to offer the opportunities to work in the community. So yes, and you guys can speak on this as well for your organization. I know a lot of organizations, the Black Student Union, I can speak on as well. We love working with the community, especially with youth and high school students. So whether that be high school students coming on a block cleanup with us, or us giving a service to a local high school. So there definitely are opportunities, but I don't know if Cassie or Mariama, you can speak on how to get high schoolers involved.
So I actually don't know if there are opportunities for high schoolers to get involved with NSC. I think that on their website, they should have a lot more information about volunteer opportunities, and there might be stuff for high schoolers to do as well. I'm sure there are.
You mean high schoolers over here or outside of US?
Local high schoolers.
Okay, so we are open to everyone. It's just we are still trying to grow. We need more volunteers and more contributors. So you can send us email. We are willing to take anyone who's going to be willing to contribute positively to make the change we all need. So we're going to put our website down and contact info, hopefully. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Someone else asked in the Q&A, first they said, you guys are all incredible women. And their question was, how has 2020 affected you personally, and how do you keep pushing forward in the face of adversity?
I can start. I think 2020 was a hard year for everyone. I'm not going to say it was easy, and also being a senior, not knowing what the future holds in terms of just the pandemic itself is very stressful. Work-wise, graduate school-wise, there's a lot of unknowns still, and I think that I found it best to just take things as they come. I've learned to just relax a little bit and expect the unexpected, definitely, but also prepare a little bit better for who knows what will happen in 2 months, in 5 months. You never know at this point. Just with everything that went on in 2020, I've also learned to just focus on my mental health a little more. I think that's something that a lot of people push aside, especially college students. And I feel like we need to, put a little more effort into making sure that mentally we're okay and we're healthy.
I think that 2020 and like the pandemic in general has taught me kind of like how Cassie said, like nothing is guaranteed. So if you want to like wait on something, or you think that you're not ready for it, you are most likely ready for it. Like I would just say, go ahead and make the jump and do what you want to do, because tomorrow is not promised. And I also just learned that, again, like going completely virtual, just how to keep afloat with that, because I'm not necessarily the most tech savvy person. I'm probably like better than others because of my age range, but like, there are so many other people who have probably like found it so difficult to make that switch. So I would just definitely say like learning how to do things virtually as well. And then again, like keeping your mental health intact, because waking up at 8 or 10 a.m. to do Zoom every 5 days is like, it can be stressful, but we're all going to get through it together. And just, again, try to find your community so you don't have to feel like you're alone in that situation. Try to find someone that you can talk to as well. It doesn't always have to be a therapist if you can't afford one. It could be a friend.
I feel like this year, 2020, right? Yeah. So 2020 has been the best year ever. It taught me a lot. This is where I found myself in certain things that I thought I couldn't do. This is the year where I started my own nonprofit. This is the year where I've learned to grow and share, which is very important to your mental health. This is the year that I learned to appreciate family and the little that I have. So it taught me so much. I believe that we all need people to talk to. So if you are alone, you are not alone. As long as you're willing to share and reach out to people. Take care of your mental health. That's what I've been doing. Reach out to your families, check on people. Just because someone doesn't call you doesn't mean that they're okay. They're not. So we need each other as of now, more than ever. So it was the best year. It was good and bad. It was a great experience. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think that is a really good question. You guys spoke beautifully to that. I think one thing with everything that's happened in 2020, and I think Alexis put it great, finding your community, finding where you fit in it all. Not everyone has to be necessarily at the front lines of everything, but everyone has a place in social justice and achieving equity and making their community a better place. There's a place for everyone in that, whether it be donating to your local food pantry in your community, or it could be starting your own organization like Mariama did. So there's levels, I think, to working in your community and finding your space within what you care about and what matters to you. So I think that's really important, whether it be no matter what your focus is. I think decompressing and sometimes turning off your phone is never a bad thing, and focusing on family and friends and loved ones. So thank you guys all for speaking on that. You guys all have done a wonderful job, and we're so glad we were able to talk to you and have people shed light on your organizations that have done so much for our communities. So we do have 2 more questions and then we're going to wrap up. What are your thoughts on how Temple has handled operating your organizations under pandemic guidelines? This is a good question, actually. So I know maybe Alexis, you can speak on this since you're on Temple's campus.
Yeah, so for the most part, Black Student Union, we've basically run completely virtual, and they have like a few guidelines now where you can have like in-person events, but it has to be a certain number for capacity. Like you can't have a room that's like completely full. And they do have like places where everyone has to stay. We haven't utilized those like in-person event rooms or anything yet, but I think that they're doing the best that they can with the situation or with the cards that we've been dealt. And I can't be mad at that. In this pandemic, I really wanted to be in person either, especially at full capacity. We did kind of just have to move abruptly to being virtual and kind of just have to navigate that for ourselves. But I feel that the organization, what do they call it? Student organizations here at Temple that give us like information on how to, better run our Zooms and how to get a wider audience from our students and members definitely helps out as well. So I would just say student activities is a huge help.
Thank you for that. I see, Cassie, you're answering the question in the chat that was directed towards you. Thank you all for coming here today and talking to us about your organizations and the beautiful work you've been doing with social justice and the other target audiences that your organization reach. So we thank you guys so much. If you guys feel free to put your links to your Instagrams and your social media that we can link to your organizations or websites, as well as any other contact information. And thank you all for coming, and I'll hand it off to Roslyn.
Yeah, so it was great speaking to all three of the organizations. I think you guys do amazing work. And it was great to hear just about everything that you guys do, like for the communities and stuff. We do really appreciate hearing from you guys for this National Student Health panel. And in the chat, Michelle says, thank you all. You guys did a fabulous job.
Is there a way we can pin the information below for everyone to see? It's not allowing me to do that.
What'd you say?
Is there a way we can pin our website below for everyone to see in the chat?
Yes. Is it allowing you to type in the chat box?
I think it's allowing me to do it privately, not for everyone.
I think there's an option where you can click panelists and attendees, and that should work.
I did want to say as well, while we're on the panel, I know someone had mentioned the previous question about any upcoming events that our organizations have. BSU will be having a Black Student Union Week next week, and we're going to have like a week full of programs. We're going to have like a movie night. We're going to be cooking tacos one day. And we're also having the clothing drive that I mentioned a little bit earlier as well. So if you guys want more information on that, follow us on Instagram at BSU_Temple, or just shoot us an email or go to Our Connect to make sure you sign up for our emails to get more information on it.
And for everyone's starting to link their information in the chat. So Cassie just dropped the Nationality Service Center's website if you guys want to check that out, and that sounds like something you were interested in. And just to stay up to date on what everyone's doing, and Mary Alma's linking her information now in the chat as well. So these are some great organizations that I'm excited to get to know too, and hear about. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Me and Roslyn and DIBS appreciate these conversations.